Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BizTalk 81. This is Wally Rowder. Thank you for joining me. It's great to have you. Fantastic. It's great to see you all. Tonight, we're talking about leadership and different management styles. What is leadership? Why do we need leaders in today's economy? What are leaders all about? Can everybody be a leader? It's not that easy. A lot of people think they're managers. A lot of people think they're leaders, but in actual fact, they have no skills to be leaders. They can't motivate people to follow them. They can't motivate people to listen to them. They have no idea how to lead people. So today we're going to look at the insights of what leadership really is. What are the 9 different management styles required in order to be one or 2 of those model leaders, the leadership styles which are most effective in today's business industry or business world. So let's talk about it. Has anybody here ever been a leader? Do any of you lead people? Can you put your hand up if you lead people? Who leads people? Put your hand up. Great. Let's talk to Samuel. Hi, Samuel. How many people do you lead, Samuel? Talk to me. Are you there, Samuel? You want to talk to me? Yeah, hi, Samuel.
Yes,
You're a leader. How many people do you have under your leadership? Okay, Samuel, sorry, I'll come back to you. No problem. Thank you. Okay, let's go on. Who have I got? Richard. Go ahead, Richard. Hi, Richard. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, sir. Nice to see
Hi.
you again, sir.
You're welcome. Welcome to BizTalk 81. Tell me, are you in a leadership position and how many people do you have under your supervision?
I have a small team. We are 5 in one team, sir.
Fantastic. And tell me, what do you think is important as far as qualities of leadership are concerned?
You should be one of them, sir.
You need to be one of them. You need to be
Yes, sir.
hands-on,
Yes, sir.
right? They need to
Hands
follow
on. Yes,
you.
sir.
You
Yes, sir.
need to lead by example. Am I right? You need to lead from the front.
Yes.
Good, excellent,
Yes,
Richard.
sir.
Fantastic. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go. Anybody else want to tell me what is leadership? Anybody else want to share their opinion with me? Come on, be brave. This is what BizTalk is about. It's so you can express your ideas and I can guide you. If you don't express your ideas, you won't learn anything. Who can tell me what is leadership all about? Again, Samuel, you need to talk to me when I open your microphone, sir. Okay, go ahead, Samuel. Tell me, what is leadership to you? Are you there, Samuel? Unmute your microphone. Hi, Samuel.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, tell me, what does
Yes.
leadership mean to you?
Uh,
I can't hear you, Samuel. You want to talk to me? What
it's
does leadership mean
different
to
from
you?
leader. Leadership,
Yeah, what is it? What does it mean to you?
it is a process of leading people.
Okay, it's a process of leading people. Can you tell me any special qualities of a true leader?
Leader
Any true qualities of a true leader? I can't hear you,
leading
Samuel.
quality, and then you need to sequence. Yes,
Okay,
hello.
good. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Anything else? Yeah, I'm sorry, Samuel. Your microphone is hanging. I'll have to come back to you. Thank you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you really need to get a working microphone. I can't hear you, Samuel. I'm sorry. I'll have to come back to you. I do apologize, Samuel. All right, let me talk to another person. Who have I got here? Hong Gwyn. Hi, Hong Gwyn. Go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Hong Gwyn. What does leadership mean to you?
Hi, Wally.
Hi.
I think to be a good leader, we need to have the ability to motivate people, to delegate people.
Absolutely, and you're right. So leadership is leading from the front, the ability to
Yeah.
have people follow you by inspiring them and motivating them. Thank you, Hong Win. Very good. I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, young lady. Let's go to another young lady. Young Kimberly, good evening. Welcome to BizTalk 81. Hi, Kimberly. Tell me, what does leadership mean to you, Kimberly? Hi, Kimberly.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good
Everyone.
afternoon. What does leadership mean to you?
Leadership is like you have ability of an individual or group of people to
Yes.
influence or guide to the members.
Absolutely. Very good, young lady. Very good, Kimberly. Thank you. I'll talk to you again shortly. Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, let's go on. Let me put up my PowerPoint and I'll come back and talk some more of you shortly. Okay, guys, here we go. Let's start today's session and let's learn all about what leadership is in today's business economy. Okay, here we go. Leadership and its management styles. Is being a manager the same as being a leader? It's not. Leadership and management are two different disciplines. They're two different sciences. Some people may think they practice management or leadership, but management or leadership is not something you can just do. You need to learn it and you need to understand the basic principles of the discipline. Okay. When we think of it, ladies and gentlemen, change management is a systematic approach to achieving the ideal management style by which you want to lead your company, your group of people, or your organization. So when we talk about changing the culture of your team or helping your team achieve its goals, you need to adapt to changing your way of leading them through systematic approach. You can't just change overnight, but it has to be a systematic approach for you to be able to better communicate and better, more effectively lead the team that you're managing. So change management is a systematic approach to achieving the ideal management style. A management style is defined academically as a way in which a manager works to fulfill their goals or achieve results. Because if the manager doesn't achieve results, he or she would be out of a job. Would you agree with that, Richard? Wave your hand to me, Richard. Good, excellent. Okay. In reality, the true mark of a leader is his or her willingness, his or her ability to inspire every day with a bold course of action, bring about unconventional business strategy, a unique product, a unique roadmap to achieving results by able to come up with new marketing ideas, new marketing campaigns which are controversial and will make the competitors take note. They need to understand that an era today, post-COVID-19, in an era of hyper competition, where businesses are struggling to survive after losing billions of dollars during COVID-19, there is only one way to survive, and that's through leadership. Leadership that's unconventional, leadership that's extrinsic, leadership that is what we call more than the norm, okay? It has to be eccentric, beyond the norm. Ladies and gentlemen, change is the cause to be different. So if you as managers don't change the way you lead people, then the people below you will not be different. As the students said earlier, leadership is about leading from the front. So when we say lead from the front, that means everybody under you follows you. If we go back to the old-fashioned way of management, where you manage people, you push, they run. And what usually happens with the old management style is the more you push, the higher your staff turnover rate is, because people will run away, because you're not leading by example. They have no one to inspire them, no one to motivate them. They get bored. They feel like you're just a slave driver, so they run. And what happens when they run? You suffer because you have to replace them and retrain people. Today, change management initiatives are an important part of any company's survival. Today, if companies are not prepared to look at the way they manage their people, they will suffer. Let's take the example of General Electric many years ago. General Electric was America's most successful electric appliance manufacturer in small town United States. General Electric appointed a CEO who nearly brought the company to ruins. The company almost closed down. Why? Because his style of leadership was not effective. He was pushing people and people were running, even though he drove the company to profitability. However, at one point of time, the people in the organization gave up because all he would do is push and they would run. He was totally a, a autocratic leader, a communist leader who listened to no one. In actual fact, they would say he was more of a Hitler than a leader because he basically gave orders. If people didn't follow, regardless of whether it was his fault or their fault, he was basically autocratic. It was his way or the door. GE almost became history. An American legend almost became history. It is only through the change of its leadership and bringing in someone with a more effective leadership style, which we'll talk about as we go through today's lesson, that GE, General Electric, as you know it today, survived. General Electric makes aircraft engines. General Electric is one of America's largest electrical goods manufacturers. More importantly, General Electric is known for its aircraft engines. It makes engines for Boeings, for Airbus, and for aircraft all over the world now. Management styles are basically the set or criteria that distinctly different methods and approaches that different managers take to support and guide a team at work. Management styles describe the different ways in which people lead people. It's true, all managers have a job to manage a team. But how effective each and every manager is depends on the style of management that he or she uses. Because if the style of management that he or she uses is not effective, just 1 minute, guys. Okay, so managers all have the same goal. They all want to achieve the same purpose, the same job. But unfortunately, they can't because just 1 moment, please. Just 1 moment. So managers are all out to achieve the same thing. They're all out to achieve the same thing. They all want the same results. But it's about the way they do it, the way they do it. Just 1 moment. It's about the way they push their people or lead the people to do things. That is what different management styles are. It's about them managing different ways, in a different way or in a different pattern or with a different style. That's what it's all about. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, so as we said, sorry about that. I have students asking me how they can join BizTalk. Okay, done. So as I said, it's about managers leading in different ways to achieve results. Okay, so the styles are basically the manager's toolkit on how to achieve results. What tools are they going to use as managers to get those results? Mr. Govind, somebody is drawing on my screen. Can you fix it now, please? Okay, good. So when they have the tools to manage the team and lead the team and show the team the road to achieving the results, using those tools, which are part of management styles, will help managers achieve the results. Mr. Govind, please get the scribble off my screen. All right, so let's talk about how many different management styles there is out there. There's actually 9 in reality, and they start with what we call the autocratic, the laissez-faire, and autocratic can either be persuasive or paternalistic. Laissez-faire can be either visionary or delegative, and each of these have different ingredients or different abilities that need to be influenced. And then we have what we call, more importantly, the democratic. The democratic is today's modern way of acceptable leadership. It can either be consultative or transformative. Let's look at each of these individually. What is autocratic? What is autocratic? What is autocratic? Autocratic managers are usually, or autocratic management is a style of management that basically centralizes the decision-making process. On these teams, the manager usually makes the majority of decisions, including what the team should focus on, what short and long-term goals they should work toward, and which tasks and projects are associated with these initiatives. So basically, a manager with an autocratic management style will then delegate the work to team member they think is best suited for the job, but they dictate the way it's going to be done. The people that do it have no say in the way it's being done. It's purely autocratic. Autocratic management is the most top-down approach to management. There is advantages to autocratic management. There is. But are they sustainable long-term? Do they give you a reward long-term? It's easier to make quick decisions since there is only one decision maker. That's true. That's an advantage. But the disadvantages to autocratic management are even worse. Autocratic management can quickly veer into micromanagement. Team members under autocratic management are less encouraged to offer suggestions since there is only one decision maker, because team members are afraid. They're not asked for opinions. So if that decision leads to the business losing money, the team members suffer because at the end of the day, the company's not making money. That's what happens when the autocratic decision-making or management style is in force. Team members can feel creatively stifled because they might have better ideas for the business, but no one wants to listen to them. Autocratic management is best when decisions need to be made quickly and there is little room for an error. In crisis situations, the autocratic style is the way to go. Autocratic. Let's look at the next one. The next one is the persuasive form of autocratic management. The persuasive form of autocratic management just give me a minute. persuasive type of management style is a bit different. It puts decision making totally in the hands of managers, but encourages managers to share the logic rationale behind their decisions. So it's still the managers at the top making the decisions, but instead of them making them without telling people why, they simply make them, but ask opinions. Okay, so they make them, but what they do is they don't ask how or why. They simply tell the people below them that they've made that decision. So this is the persuasive way of doing this. They simply make the decision. They tell people they're making the decision, but they don't ask people for ideas about how to make the decision. That is persuasive management. So the advantages of persuasive management style are it can educate junior level team members about what's going into the decisions because they've been told that the decision is being made and why it's being made, but they're not involved in making that decision. All right. So it helps to build trust between the team and the manager, since the team is given an explanation for every decision. But it's still not as good as democratic. The disadvantage of persuasive management, like in any autocratic style, team members can feel creatively stifled. Team members may feel like their feedback isn't heard since communication is still one-sided. And these are disadvantages of this element of management. They're truly disadvantages of persuasive management. Persuasive management is best for managers that are leading a more inexperienced team. Under this dynamic, the manager should be the sole decision maker based on their experience, but should share explanations in order to help their team grow. Just give me 1 second, guys. I've got a student calling. Just give me 1 second, would you? Okay, it's all right. Okay, so the next type of management is what we call paternalistic management. Another type of autocratic, because paternalistic is part of the autocratic management family style, part of the autocratic style family of management. It's a form of unilateral decision-making where the team's best interests are always kept in mind. All right? They keep the team's best interest in mind, okay? But while communication is still one-sided, team members are heard. So remember, when we talked about previously, persuasive, members weren't heard. Here, with paternalistic, they're heard. They're heard. While communication is still one-sided, so what happens is management tells them, but they ask them, okay, they ask them, or they let them talk. So what are we talking about? It's a form of unilateral management decision making, where the team's best interests are always kept in mind, while communication is one-sided, team members are heard and decisions are made with their wants in mind. So even though team members say we think it should be done that way, it's not an open discussion. We hear what the team members have to say, but the decision is still made by one autocratic decision-making process. There is no collaboration between the manager and the team about the decision itself, but they take into account how the team feels. In this management style, management try to create a feeling of trust within their team. By doing so, their direct reports are confident their feedback is taken to heart whenever the manager makes a decision. Okay, so what they're saying is the autocratic manager feels better because he's considered what his team want or how they feel, but he still hasn't discussed it with them. As it says, there is no collaboration. The advantage of paternalistic management is that managers are more committed to the well-being of their team members. They care. They care more than just a straight autocratic manager. Unlike other autocratic styles, team members are actively encouraged to say what they think, to say what they feel, even if they don't get to collaborate. But sometimes, even if you encourage them to say something and they can't get to give you, and they can't get to discuss it with you, some of them might still not give you that. So is this a good way to lead? I would suggest it's not. The disadvantages of paternalistic management are loyalty to leadership is imperative for this style to be effective. If the team doesn't trust management, they'll be less motivated and produce strong results. They'll be less motivated to produce strong results because if they can't trust you, why would they work harder? And therefore, they won't produce stronger results. In actual fact, the results might get worse. So what sort of business is paternalistic management style good for? It's good for organizations with a good, strong company culture. If leadership can build strong bonds with the organization and team members, team members can trust the right decisions are being made. But my question to you all, do you think paternalistic management is really going to gain trust? It might gain a little bit more trust than basic autocratic management. But is it enough trust? A lot of academics would say it's not. Is it good in all types of business? No. All right, so before we go on to domestic, let me talk to some of you. Does everybody here understand what we mean by autocratic management? Put your hands up, please, all right? So does everybody know what autocratic management is? Put your hands up. Come on. Who understands autocratic management? Put your hand up for me. Come on. Who's going to talk to me about autocratic management? Okay, let's go, Richard. Tell me. So tell me, why do you think that both forms of autocratic management are not suitable? Richard, can you unmute your microphone? Richard? Are you there, Richard? Unmute your microphone.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, okay, so tell me, you've heard about two different types of autocratic management. Do you think that autocratic management is suitable for all businesses?
For my opinion, I believe no, sir.
All right, so do you understand why autocratic management might not be suitable? Because neither form of autocratic management gets the trust of the people in the organization. Because one form, you make decisions without communicating. The other form, you make decisions and tell people about the decision. And the last form is where you still make the decision. There's no two-way collaboration, but what you're doing is you're taking note of what the people want. Where with the first two forms, you're not even considering what the people below you want. So regardless of which form of autocratic management we use, it's a different style of management. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you follow why autocratic management is not beneficial to all industries, Richard?
Because for my understanding, you are not giving the thoughts for everyone. You just decided and let the people do without the proper information or method of the work, sir.
Great. Excellent. All right. So it's basically a system whereby they're forcing it on people, right? They're forcing
Yes,
it
sir.
on people. Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you for your understanding, Richard. All right, let's go to Alan. Alan, do you want to share with me anything about why autocratic management is no good? Are you there, Alan? Sorry, Aileen. Aileen, you need to look at the camera, please. If you're not looking at the camera, I can't see you. Can you on the light and talk to me, please? Go ahead, Aileen. Yeah, you need to have the light on all the time, Aileen. If I can't see you, I can't talk to you. Go ahead, Aileen. Tell me, why do you think autocratic management is not good for everyone?
I think also autocratic management is just a decision by his own, but he don't let the members to know what is it about, and I think that is some complication for others.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so autocratic management may get results in a small business, but as organizations grow, autocratic management will definitely not serve its purpose in all organizations. Do you understand what I'm saying, Aileen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Aileen. All right, let's go on. So autocratic management might be good for one, but it's not good for everyone. And it's not something that organizations should do if they can avoid it. Autocratic style is good in some cases. For example, if you join the army, they need to have an autocratic style because in the army, the general decides how the army is going to fight the war. Okay, but the people on the ground are given limited power on the ground, but they must do it in line with the general's instructions or the commanding officer's instructions. But is that the way you want to run a business where you're trying to make money and generate revenue? No. So is either form of autocratic leadership suitable? It isn't. No. All right. It's not the best recommended form of leadership. Let's go on and look at the other forms of leadership. Okay, so the other forms of leadership are what we call democratic management. The other styles are democratic management. Democratic or participative managers collaborate with their team members. So remember when we said all of the autocratic styles do not collaborate. They don't have a two-way conversation. It's either no conversation, one-way conversation, and it's always one way, okay? The only difference is one, they make a decision. The other one, they tell them what they're doing. And the third one is they tell them what they're doing after considering what they want, but they don't collaborate. With democratic or participative communication, managers collaborate with team members to distribute the decision-making process. So that means they share ideas with each other and involve different managers in reaching the decision before it's made. Though they are still the person making the decision, managers who use a democratic style actually hear from their assistant managers. They hear from all their managers. They have a collaborative conversation, then they make the decision. Before setting quarterly priorities, for example, under a democratic process, a democratic manager will make sure that every member of his team understands what the goals are for the team, why they need to achieve them, and would hear the team members' ideas on how and why they want to achieve them. What are the problems they're facing? And what do the team members want in order to help them resolve those problems? These are critical keys in democratic management, okay? Democratic management, remember, is a form of participative management. Does everybody here understand what I mean by participative management? Yes or no? Raise your hands if you understand what I mean by participative management, everyone. Put your hands up. Participative means where two different people participate, two different people or more than two people participate, 2, 3, 4, 5 participate. That is democratic. That is participative. Does everybody understand that? Wave your hands, please. Come on. Jules, wave your hands. Good girl, Jules. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Butwi, do you understand what I mean, Butwi? You're resting your head. It sounds like you're going to sleep, gorgeous. Smile at me. Smile. Show me a big smile. Good girl. Okay, so if you don't understand, tell me, please, Butwi. All right. Okay, Maricel, do you understand what I've said so far? All right, good. Excellent. Good. Okay, what about you, Marie? Marie Laranja, do you understand what I've said? Good girl. Mary Dorothy, do you understand what I've said? Mary Dorothy? Mary Dorothy, are you there? I need to see you. I don't want to see your photograph. If you want your certificate, you better sit in front of the camera and let me see you on video, please, because you need to learn. Otherwise, why would I give you a certificate? Do you understand what I've explained so far, Mary? Can you wave your hand to me? Good girl. All right. So democratic is participative. More than one person is involved. Let's go back and let me share my screen. All right. So we've said that part of being a democratic manager is basically a democratic manager will use every opportunity to listen to his team about how they can achieve the goals, why they're not achieving them, what do they need to help them achieve their goals, and use that as part of the collaborative, participative form of management, which is democratic management. Okay, so let's now look at what are the advantages of a democratic management style. Team members have the context they need to succeed. Team with democratic managers often come up with more creative ideas because everybody is brainstorming together. This management style promotes highly engaged buy-in from the team because there's two-way communication. And when you involve people in two-way communication, people trust you. People want to be part of it. They feel like you're giving them ownership. They feel motivated because you're involving them. But when you don't involve them, you just tell them. And if they don't do it, you reprimand them or fire them. That's pushing, managing the old way. Push, they run. Democratic collaboration, democratic participation, participative form of management will mean that they build trust. You give them motivation and confidence to be part of the team by allowing them to communicate and collaborate or participate in decision-making processes. Team members are encouraged to tap into their full potential at work because you involve them in what they're doing. Are there any disadvantages to democratic management? Oh, hell yeah. Again, Mr. Amala, could you please remove the arrows and the scribble off my screen, Mr. Golvin? Could you find out who's doing this and remove them from the session? Please stop putting marks on my screen. The disadvantage of a democratic management style, what are they? What are the disadvantages? There are disadvantages, and they are this collaborative management style takes more time than others because managers are more involved. You give them an opportunity to talk. So that means by using democratic management style, it might take you longer to reach a decision because you have to hear everybody below you. Now, for some, that might be a disadvantage, but for many, that's a very strong advantage. Okay, does everybody understand that? For many companies, they'd rather spend more time talking about it before they make the decision because they'll get a better result. So even though in the long run, some might see it as a time-consuming process, it can be a disadvantage if the decision is urgent. But if it's not urgent, it can be an advantage. So where is democratic management, democratic management, where is it good for? What is it best for? Remember, democratic management is participative style of management, collaborative management. Okay, it's best for teams that are constantly looking to improve, achieving their goals. It is good for teams who are constantly wanting to be innovative, come up with better processes. It is very good for teams if you manage this type of team by pushing them to come up with good ideas and share them with you. You push your team to be eccentric. You push your team to think beyond the norm. Then collaborative management is the way forward. Okay? Remember, democratic collaborative management is the way forward. Consultative management is another form of democratic management style. Okay? Why? Because the consultative managers are consistently looking for feedback from their team, not like the guy that we just spoke to in democratic management. We said democratic management is participative. So the democratic manager allows his team to be involved. He listens to them and he's prepared to invest time to build their confidence and motivate them and show them that you want to hear them and they have a career path in front of them. Okay? Democratic, participative. So when we talk about consultative management is the same sort of thing at a much bigger level. It's about where you are constantly looking for the team below you to give you feedback every day on new ideas, not only on how to achieve the goals at a weekly or monthly meeting, but constantly every time they think of a better idea. This is consultative. Okay, how does this differ? This is different from being authoritative. It's different from being autocratic. Consultative managers rarely make decisions alone, but instead encourage a team to get together and all make the decision together. All right. Remember we said democratic, where he talks to them, participative. All right. But now with consultative, he's basically involving them in the decision-making process on a regular basis from day to day. The advantages of being consultative is that it breeds healthy communication amongst teams. It builds trust and encourages people to go home and think about how to improve productivity for the company they work for. It makes them put themselves in their manager's or boss's shoes. It stimulates for them to go beyond the norm. It encourages for them to give upward feedback to the people above them rather than being scared as they would be under the autocratic leadership systems or under autocratic styles. The disadvantages of a consultative management style is, again, it can take time and lead to inefficiency and slow decision-making, since everyone is involved in the process. Everyone. So this form of management is best for managers who take on more of a mentor role. Consultative managers strive to educate and influence their team through the decision-making process. That means they always want them to think outside the box, beyond the norm. Does everybody understand what I mean by consultative management? Okay, who wants to tell me what they understand by consultative management? Okay, Jules. Hi, Jules. Can you tell me what do I mean by consultative form of democratic management style? Are you there, Jules? Unmute your microphone, Jules. Are you there, Jules?
Good evening,
Yeah.
sir.
Good evening. Do you understand what I mean by consultative? Yes or no?
Can you repeat, sir?
Do you understand what I mean by consultative?
Not yet, sir.
All right. Are you listening to what I'm saying, Jules? Consultative means when the leadership talks, has a two-way discussion with the managers who work for them. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, sir.
All right. So remember, autocratic is when they make a decision, but there's no two-way communication. It's one-sided. In democratic communication or democratic management style, they actually talk. Do you understand that, Jules? Talk to one another on your microphone, Jules. Unmute your microphone. Do you understand what I said, Jules? Can you unmute your microphone, Jules? Are you there, Jules? Hello, unmute your microphone. I need to talk to you. Are you going to unmute your microphone, young lady? Unmute your microphone. I can't hear you. Unmute your microphone. I'm sorry, Jules, I can't hear you. You need to talk to me. Are you there, Jules? All right. Do you
Yes, sir.
understand? Sorry, Jules, you need to talk to me. You don't cut me off, ma'am. You need to talk to me when I ask you. Do you understand the difference between autocratic and democratic now?
Yes, sir.
Good girl. Thank you, Jules. All right. Okay, let's go on. Okay, Stephen, are you there? Can you clarify, Stephen? Do you understand the difference between autocratic and democratic?
Thank you. Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Autocratic to me is more of a dictatorship kind of system where the individual commands everything going on in the company. It's very discouraging. It feels nearly condescending. People are not happy, and like in the case of the GT Electric, people start leaving, and it's not good for business because the company ends up losing. In the case of the democratic decision making, it's consultative, and the employees or the team members feel involved. They feel they are an important part of the decision making. It makes them have an idea where the business is heading to. And so it's collaborative and it's also motivating. That I understand is the difference.
Good,
Right.
excellent. You're on the right track. You understand it. Thank you, Stephen. So can I
Sure.
ask you, Stephen, in everyday business in today's economy, which part of democratic leadership style or management style would you use? Would you use a pure democratic process or would you use the consultative process, Stephen?
I would use the consultative process, even though it's more time consuming. But I always believe if, as a democratic leader, I
Yes.
have decisions to make, then if my decisions are 80% of what the company requires, probably there's a 20% that if I consult, I can be able to get. Then that way, it's possible to have the 100% that the company is looking for. So it's more creative to listen to each and every person, regardless of how small their idea is or how big it is, because it
Very
only makes the
Very good. And with consultative management style, you're actually pushing people to think out of the box. Because remember, we said today companies need to be innovative. Companies need to be eccentric. How can you be eccentric and innovative if you don't have a consultative communication process with the people who are hands-on in your organization? Do you all understand that? Do you understand that, Stephen?
Yes, I do.
Good, excellent.
Yes.
I hope Jules understands it as well. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. It's nice to hear from you. Talk to you again. All right, so let's go on, guys. The next form of management is what we call the transformational management. And we've spoken about this before. We've spoken about Jeff Bezos. We've spoken about Steve Jobs. We've spoken about many different management styles. And we've said that Bezos was definitely transformational. We've said that Steve Jobs had different ways of managing the company at different times. But what is transformational management? Transformational management is another type of democratic management. Okay? Transformational management is used predominantly among creative teams. Transformational managers strive to create a culture that encourages adaptability to innovation and problem solving. So consultative is where you encourage them to actually think out of the box and share their ideas. Transformational is where you encourage them to not only think out of the box, but also solve problems and come up with new ideas for the company. So transformational leadership is a much deeper form of consultative management. Transformational management is where you're constantly demanding from your team to be transformational. You're putting them at the front line. Here are the problems. Give me ideas on how to fix them. All right. With consultative, you're hearing their ideas, but you're not necessarily getting them involved in solving the problems. With transformational, you're putting the power in their hands. You're giving them ownership and letting them help solve the problems. Do you understand what I mean by that, Stephen? Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you. Transformational managers are invested in the professional growth of their team and less look at short-term projects and more at long-term development. Oftentimes, this means setting lofty and challenging goals for team members. And that is how you get the best out of your teams, by giving them ownership, by giving them a sense of responsibility. Remember, we said about Jeff Bezos empowering his managers all around the world. He gave them a sense of ownership and a sense of responsibility by holding them accountable and letting them make certain decisions on how to solve problems. That's transformational leadership. What are the advantages of transformational leadership? This style works very well for motivated team members looking to grow their careers and roles. It helps breathe life into more mundane projects and helps team members feel inspired. It helps them feel that, hey, the boss trusts me. He's given me power. I can solve problems. I don't have to ask my director anymore. I have the power. I'm empowered. Does everybody understand that, guys? Yes or no? Do you understand that, Jules? Okay, good. So it helps breathe life into more mundane projects and helps team members see the bigger picture and what they're working toward. Is there any disadvantages to transformational management? Well, since this style relies on setting difficult goals, and it can backfire if your team isn't motivated enough. So if you haven't already implanted the motivation through being consultative, through being democratic, then you can't automatically jump to transformational. You have to go democratic, you have to become consultative, and then after you become consultative, you go on to transformational management. The best for what is transformational management best for? It's best for fast-moving, fast-paced, intrinsically motivated teams that are well organized, always adapting to new circumstances. And again, by integrating adaptability into their management style, transformative managers prepare their team for whatever may come their way. Why? Because by giving these people transformational power of authority, or giving the power to be accountable, they will then go ahead and empower the people below them and develop them to become accountable to them. All right, so let's go from being transformational to what I call the laissez-faire management style. Laissez-faire management is basically the most hand-off form of management. Laissez-faire literally translates to let it go in French. Let it go. Laissez-faire, as the French say. Okay? And this management style leans into that relaxed hands-off approach. Now, this is not recommended for everyone. Unless Stephen has billions of dollars in the bank, he prefers to travel the world and play the casinos in Monte Carlo, and he has a team that he says, run the business. All I want to see is the numbers at the end of the year. He's a very French. Let it go. Let them do it. I need to enjoy my life. I want to go and sit on the beaches of Monte Carlo. This is what I call in French, laissez-faire, as the French say. Let it go. Okay? Merci beaucoup, laissez-faire. You do it. I don't want to worry about it. You just take care of it. All right? Okay? So basically, this hands-off approach, or what we call the laissez-faire management style, is something where you give full responsibility, full autonomy, and they typically only meet with team members or host team meetings if the team needs them, or half yearly, quarterly, or even yearly, because they don't want to be involved in the everyday running. And the only time the laissez-faire manager comes involved is if something drastic happens, or if the company loses money and he becomes aware of it. What is the advantage of laissez-faire management? Team members are encouraged to be creative and come up with their own ideas. And also, it encourages them to be self-motivated employees. And the more self-autonomy and the more authority you give them, the more motivated they feel. But this has disadvantages. Unless your team members are very experienced, unless that you've worked for them through democratic, consultative management, transformational management, unless you're confident they're ready for laissez-faire, then it can be very, very dangerous. They can take your business from profit to bankruptcy overnight. Okay? A laissez-faire manager doesn't tend to provide context for work or proactively connect daily work to the company. Basically, he lets them do as they want, when they want. He only comes in if and when he needs to, and usually it's because he's losing money or bleeding or something went wrong. Is this the right form of management for every company? Definitely not. This management style can result in employees feeling unsupported or lost, because if the big guy is too busy on the beaches of Monte Carlo and the people below him are not steering the company the right way, and the company is not doing as well as it should, then the people below could feel unsupported. So it is a dangerous way of running the business. Will they tell you that they feel unsupported? No, because they're afraid they'll lose their job. But true down, they do feel unsupported because they're not ready for it. So laissez-faire is a very, very dangerous way of running the business unless you have a small team or the right team in place. A laissez-faire manager does not use collaboration. There is no consultation, no consultative management. There is no collaboration at all. It's not collaborative, it's not consultative. Who is it best for? It's best for self-motivated, creative teams that thrive when building their own ideas. This model works best for teams that work individually and don't require any supervision. And there's a very small number of companies in the world with managers or owners that have enough confidence to use the laissez-faire style of management post-COVID-19. Okay, we're going to move on to visionary management. All right, visionary management. Okay, so we've spoken so far regarding autocratic, we've spoken about democratic, we've spoken about different types of democratic, and we got to the laissez-faire style of management. Laissez-faire is basically very French relaxed. Let it go. Let them do whatever they want. As you can understand, this is a dangerous way to manage any organization if your people haven't been through all the preliminary stages of democratic management. That means collaborative, consultative, participative. If they haven't successfully been able to manage those styles, there's no way you should go to laissez-faire. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay. All right, let's go on, everyone. Okay, the next type of management is what we call the visionary management style. Visionary management is a type of laissez-faire management. The visionary management style is less concerned with the day-to-day operations and more interested in educating the team, more interested in teaching the team what to do. All right, so basically, visionary managers tend to motivate and inspire rather than give instructions about day-to-day tasks. Some might say that being a Steve Jobs, he was visionary. He told his developers what he wanted, but he never managed them day to day. He let them do it, providing he got results. Visionary. These managers tend to be more outgoing and charismatic. Well, this style works well for teams that are good at managing themselves and don't require much individual attention. For less experienced team members, this may not be the most effective style of management. Visionary management is usually only used in very specific structures. For example, technology structures where most of your senior people are technology developers that work alone and need to be able to think alone and innovate alone, okay? And you don't need to teach them how to do their job because they're technology experts in their field. That's why you've employed them. However, the only thing you can do is tell them that I need you to develop this type of product within the next 6 months, but then you let them do it. Visionary. The advantages of a visionary management style, guys, is basically when done well, this style can spur creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. It can basically inspire people to achieve because they're experts in their field. If you employ a software developer and pay him $20,000 a month, $20,000 a month, and you are CEO of the company, do you want to limit his ability by telling him how to develop the software? No, you want to let him bring his talent to the company. The visionary style can encourage your team to work harder because they're truly passionate, because you've entrusted them to do it. You're letting them do it. The only disadvantage of the visionary management style is you can't feign inspiration. You can't. The visionary management style is only effective when the manager is truly passionate about the company's mission. All right. So if they don't feel inspired, if they don't put themselves in the shoes of the company, if they don't live for the company, then they can't be visionaries. Because you can't feign inspiration. Inspiration has to be within. The people have to be self-inspired. This method can feel more like leadership than management. If you use this method of management, be sure you're continuing to support your team rather than just trying to inspire them. You still have to be at the top. You're not going to be 100% laissez-faire. You're still going to give them direction, but not as much direction. You're letting it go. Where with laissez-faire, you're letting it go completely. This is best for innovative teams looking to disrupt an industry, such as the developers at Apple. In this case, a visionary leader can be exactly what a team needs to be to continue thinking outside the box, go beyond the norm. Okay, the other form of management style is what we call the delegative management style. Again, delegative is another form of laissez-faire management. Delegative management refers to a system where managers and team members only interact when managers are assigning them tasks. So basically, for example, Stephen Asino comes to the office once every 6 months. He gets all his managers together, he gives them tasks, and then he disappears for 6 months. Delegative. All right. From there, the manager will come in at the end of the project, review the work, and start the cycle again. Delegative. Again, is delegative recommended? Well, delegative was part of the Steve Jobs theory. He was visionary. And for a lot of his creative guys, technical guys, the guys that came up with design and technology, he trusted them and worked with them on a visionary or delegative management style. But he was very much a visionary. Okay, he was very much a visionary because he always said, do not tell people how to do their job when you employ them as professionals to do the job. Do not tell chicken how to lay eggs when they're experts at laying eggs. In this style of team, members generally have the freedom to do tasks in their own way. Don't tell a chicken how to lay egg. Chickens know how to lay eggs. Just let them lay the eggs. Like teams with visionary managers, members tend to have a strong knowledge of the work and how it needs to be done. They're subject experts. The advantages of a delegative management style is it allows team members of the team, to maximize their creativity in their assignments with little to no supervision. Team members can think outside the box when completing the tasks. There is no risk of micromanaging in any way. As a result, okay, but let me clarify that. There's no risk of micromanaging in this style, but as a result, team members feel autonomous in their work. So micromanaging is when you basically manage down, right down to the last bit. You involved in everything. Macro manage is when you manage from the top. Okay, micromanage. Okay, so as a result of being a delegative manager, you don't have to worry about micromanaging because you're not microscopically managing. Do you understand that, everyone? Do you understand that, Stephen? The disadvantages of being a delegative manager is that without a clear feedback process during the project lifecycle, the end result may suffer. You understand that? Yes or no? Okay. With the manager only existing to delegate, there is no process for conflict resolution. All right? Because you're only delegating. All right? So you're only delegating. You're letting them do the job or the work. So are you ever going to be there to solve conflict? You're not, because you're delegating. You're saying you do it and you report back to me after this time. Is that good? Well, for me, even though it's a disadvantage, but when you go to delegative management, the people you delegate to are very experienced at what they do. They're professionals in their own area. So there should be no need for conflict resolution. Because when you delegate, they will tell you whether that is doable or not, and then they'll take on the project. Do you all understand that, guys? Are you there, Jules? You should be listening to me, Jules. I need to see you on camera, Jules. Okay, let's go on. So delegative management is best for employees with more expertise than their manager, because as Steve Jobs said, I pay developers with years of experience to develop for me. They know development better than me. In cases like this, The manager should facilitate rather than support and give feedback rather than tell them how to do their job. Okay, so let's go back here and summarize. Okay, let me stop sharing. So let's summarize. We've looked at autocratic management and we've looked at democratic management, right? Can anybody tell me which form of management do you practice from day to day and why? Who can tell me? Put up your hand, please. Who can tell me? Which form of management do you practice from day to day and why? Anyone? Okay, let's hear from Stephen. Are you there, Stephen? Can you unmute your microphone? Go ahead,
Thank you.
Stephen.
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
normally like to practice day by day what I would call teamwork, where I would like to hear the perspective of the other team members and collaboratively make decisions together. So I usually prefer the democratic type.
Democratic consultative, is that right?
Correct. That's
consultative, where you're hands-on day by day, right?
Correct.
Good on you, Stephen. That works for me and it works for you. Good stuff. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Anybody else would like to share with me their type of management style? Anyone else? Okay, yeah, Aileen, go ahead, Aileen. Can you switch on the light again, Aileen? I really need to see you, ma'am, to talk to you. Go ahead, Aileen. Tell me, which form of management do you use and why?
Yes, sir. I choose the democratic management because this is where we are today. We need a creative and innovative and collaborative management, so our company will increase more good, better company decisions making.
All right, let me make it difficult for you to make sure you understand me. Do you think you should just be collaborative or you should be consultative? Which one are you aiming for?
I would like to be a democratic management.
Democratic from a collaborative form or from a consultative form?
Yeah, it's a consultative form also.
Thank you very much. Good on you, Aileen. Good girl. Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, let me hear from Parita. Hi, Parita. Which form of management would you like to practice?
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, which form would you like to practice?
I would like recently I practiced consultative and collaborative manner.
All right. Which one do you think is better?
Consultative is more better because you can most of our colleagues can share their ideas, and especially also if they have a good output and input, so we can collab whatever good ideas we can have to contribute in our company. So we usually collaborative is more important. It's because we have to collaborate with the different departments.
Okay, collaborative is you're collaborating, but you think collaborative is better or would you prefer to be consultative?
Consultative.
All right, so do you understand the difference between collaborative and consultative, Purita? Tell me the difference.
The difference of consultative is, let's say, if you have an idea of as a leader of the company, and you have to implement the idea to the company, so you should have to consult your colleagues or other departments so that they can give also some inputs of your idea.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right. Very good. So consultative is where you're constantly talking with them. You're constantly hearing from them. Do you understand what I mean by that, Purita?
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Purita, do you use consultative every day at work?
Not often every day.
Why?
weekends we have to
Okay. All right. Only on weekends. All right. That sounds good. That means you only use it at home when you manage the household. Is that right?
Yes, I think it's every day you can use it at home, but when it comes to company, there are
Yeah.
certain points that you have to be more.
Okay. Good. Good on you. I understand. Good on you, Parita. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Richard. Hi, Richard. You want to share something with me? Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, sir. For
Yeah.
the democratic, I rather choose the consultative management.
Yeah.
And then if there's a depends also about in operation,
Yeah.
like what you said in the what's the name of this? The delegate management, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So,
I
so delegating, becoming a delegative manager, becoming a collaborative manager, becoming a consultative manager, which one would you prefer?
for the milestone, normally we use the consultative management. But as
Okay.
per the execution of
Yeah.
sample, like you said, from Steve Jobs, like application team,
Yeah.
they use the normally the delegate. So
Okay.
once
And
they done about the some projects, they will
yeah,
they
but
will explain
you
what
have
is
to
the
be
outcome.
you have to be careful. Delegative, visionary management, okay, is very much usually for people who are very highly specialized. You have to
Yes,
be
sir.
very careful, otherwise it could cause you losses or you could not achieve your goals. Delegative, where you're still constantly checking on them. But if you go all the way down to visionary, that means you trust them to do it on their own. So you are aware of the difference, right?
Yes, sir.
All
That's
right, good
why
on you.
I because as you said, if the person is specialized like a chicken is laying eggs, so they are the one who knows what the job is.
Very good.
So
Excellent.
it's just like a mixer, but normally more on the higher percentages consultative, sir.
Very good. Excellent. Good on you, mate. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go on. Let's go to let me go back to my presentation. One moment, please. Okay, guys, so let me go back to my presentation. All right, so no matter what style of management you choose to use, whether you use autocratic or democratic, whether you use consultative, collaborative, delegative, laissez-faire, or visionary, okay? Or whether you use transformational, it's important for you to understand what it means to be a manager and what qualities of a leader you should bring to the table in order to support your team to achieve the goals that your company needs to achieve. And for this, you need a certain number of tools. And these are as follows, and these are critical. Number one, just one moment, guys, one moment. Number one, connecting daily tasks to company objectives. So it's not only your team understanding what they have to do, they need to be able to relate those to how they're going to meet the company's overall objective. Because if your team or the people all the way down don't understand what the company's objective is, then no matter how you manage them or whatever style you use, they will not achieve the company's goals. Only 26% of knowledge workers have a clear understanding of how their individual work relates to goals. Why is Apple so successful? Because everybody in the company understands clearly on a monthly basis what the company's goals are. They're drilled on it every month. The same with companies like Amazon. They drill them month after month what the company's vision is. What's its mission? What are we about? They're reminded of it every time they switch on their computer. Without that context of having people put themselves in the company's shoes and understanding what the company needs to achieve, then how are they going to get the job done, no matter what management style you use? Assigning and delegating work is part of being a good manager. Good managers don't think, I can't do that, but instead they say, I know the best person for the job. And they usually make sure they don't just assign for the sake of assigning. They assign based on the people's ability in achieving the task confidently. As a manager, it is your responsibility to ensure that the team have the knowledge and they have enough work that engages and challenges them, but that they aren't feeling overworked or burnt out because you've assigned them a task that they have no positive experience in achieving. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Remember, we learned about whisk and true. We said, if order for you to measure the person's motivation, you have to ask yourself, have they been trained? Do they understand what their role is or the perception of their role in the company is? Their role perception? Do they understand the technical parts of how to do the job, the technical competency? And have they had a positive experience in doing that task? Only if you answer yes to the acronym TRUE, then can you say that that person is ready for you to delegate a task to. Does everybody remember the acronym TRUE? Put up your hand. Come on, put up your hand if you remember TRUE. Mr. Wally has explained TRUE before, right? Yes or no? Put up your hand if you remember the word TRUE. Come on, hurry up. Hands up. Only one person remembers TRUE? Come on. Richard, do you remember TRUE? Yes, Richard, you're asleep today, Richard. Okay, guys, remember, TRUE stands for measuring motivation. How do we measure motivation? Number one, TRUE. Has the person been trained? 2, do they understand the role perception? What is their role? 3, do they understand the technical competency, how to do the job technically? And 4, do they have a good experience in doing the job and getting the task done? Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Does everybody understand that, guys? Yeah? Good, excellent. Now, let's talk about their willingness. How do I measure their willingness to do the job? How do I measure their willingness to do the job? How do I measure their willingness? Okay? How do I measure their willingness? Their willingness is measured by asking yourself the following. Are they willing to come to work? Are they willing? Number 1. 2, do they get an incentive to do the job? Do you reward them sufficiently? S, do they feel a sense of security? Do they feel like that you give them trust, that they are important part of the company, that they have a future with your company? Security. And C, do they feel confidence coming to work? Do you understand that, everyone? Remember, under motivation, under TRUE, we talked about competence. Under WISC, we talk about confidence. All right, do you all understand the 2 acronyms? Yes or no? So to measure ability, all right, we talk about WISC. Are they willing? Do they get enough incentive? Do they feel secure? And do they have confidence? To measure motivation, we use the acronym TRUE. Have they been trained? Do they understand what their role is, role perception? Do they understand the technical competence, the technical elements of how to do the job? And have they had a good experience in doing that? Does everybody understand what I said now about true and whisk? True measures motivation, whisk measures ability. Everybody understand that? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. I will make sure that I define true and whisk in the PowerPoint before it's sent to you on Monday. Would you all like me to define those in the PowerPoint? Yes or no? Wave your hands if you want me to include it in the PowerPoint. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, let me go on. So remember, as managers, you should always say, I know the best person for the job. You should never doubt yourself. Okay, let me go on. Providing feedback and professional development for your team is part of being a consultative manager, part of being a collaborative manager, part of being a democratic manager, collaborative or consultative. Good managers are forward thinkers who want to help their team. Consultative managers are people who are constantly working with their team. Collaborative, consultative, they're both participative forms of management style. They're both democratic, the same as transformational. Part of giving feedback, part of being democratic is giving clear, constructive feedback, clear, constructive guidance. Now, if you can measure motivation and measure ability using true and whisk, then you should be able to understand your team's weakness and change those into strengths by being democratic, by being collaborative, by being consultative, and by then going to delegative or visionary once they're ready. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Good. Encouraging team building and collaboration. The best teams are those that work together, and the best managers are those that help their team do just that. Good managers make time for team building opportunities. They emphasize the importance of team collaboration and open communication so that team members feel comfortable bringing their full selves to work. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? So being democratic, being consultative, when you're consultative or when you're collaborative, when you're collaborative or consultative. Okay, remember, collaborative is where you collaborate. Consultative is where you consult. You're constantly in consultation. Consultative. All right. So remember, both of these forms being forms of democratic management involve you working with your team, constantly collaborating, open communication. And in consultative form of democratic management, there's even more communication. It's all about your management strategy. Regardless of which management style you want to use, it's all about your strategy. You have to remember you can't go from autocratic to consultative overnight. You have to go step by step. Otherwise, the people you're managing will become confused and you will lose them. Do you all understand that? So it's not about just saying tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up as a visionary leader, because the people you have might not be ready for it. Let's talk about the key differences between thinking as managers and thinking as designers. All right, let's talk about this. Dimension, the purpose. Managerial thinking means you put your people first, your people and your shareholders first. Collaboration. From a manager's perspective, you should be thinking of how you're going to manage those departments and what is the right management style. In managerial thinking, you're thinking from a formal hierarchical work style. What is the best management style that you can use all the way up and down the hierarchy? The thought process must be deductive and inductive. The knowledge generation has to be quantitative. That means it should come from every level of the company, especially if you're consultative. All right? The constraints should be basically limits, but the limits are set whilst allowing people certain levels of authority so they can be held accountable. Through managerial thinking, failure should be avoided, provided you choose the right type of management style. Workflow, okay, exploitation of existing value. What do I mean by that? You mean you exploit knowledge, not labor. You give the work to the people who have the knowledge or have the right skills, okay? They bring value. Do you understand that, Richard? Okay, now let's go from a design thinking manager. A design thinking manager puts himself, he thinks of the person who's going to buy the product first, not the people that work for him. Collaboration, he only cares about solving problems through cross-functional teams, not by managing the team downwards. His work style is flexible and informal, probably flat, more like laissez-faire. Do you understand that, everyone? Okay. His thought process is deductive, inductive, and abductive. Very much laissez-faire, visionary. Okay. Okay. Knowledge generation. He's not quantitative. He's not after as much knowledge as a managerial thinking style. He's more qualitative and very creative, very visionary. Constraints. For him, he delegates or he gives the project and he creates opportunities for people to use their creativity to deliver. Very much creative. Failure, to be welcomed as a chance to learn. When Steve Jobs had a visionary style and told his developers to come up software, okay, he took a risk because if the software didn't do what he wanted it to do, they had failed. But he was prepared to take that risk because he knew that the people he had were the best people for the job. Workflow, very much exploration of future value, very creative, visionary. I need you to come up with technology that can do this. Go ahead and do it. The outcome will only know after they've developed it. Was there room for them to fail? They could have failed. But will they fail often? Hopefully not, because they're experts in their field. Do you all understand that, guys? Yes or no? Yes? Good. All right. Build your team. Building your team is very important. Remember, to effectively implement a team position for success, leaders must select members who display a high degree of skill in 6 key elements: commitment, contribution, communication, cooperation, conflict management, and connection. If you don't understand these, then you shouldn't be managing a team. And if you as a manager don't have commitment, you don't feel a sense of an obligation to contribute, communicate, and cooperate, and you don't feel your responsibility to resolve conflict and manage conflict and make connection with your team, then you shouldn't be in management. It's as simple as that. All right, let's go on. The team must represent all the needed functional groups and roles necessary to manage change initiatives. Remember, so if you want to change from being an autocratic manager to a democratic manager. The team you have must be ready to face that different change in management style. By formalizing the team and providing funding or other resources, what you're saying is that you're holding them accountable and responsible. And it illustrates that you as a manager are making an investment in them for the organization to change. So remember, you cannot change overnight from autocratic to democratic consultative. You have to make sure that your team is ready for it. It all comes back to you as a manager, your level of knowledge, your level of understanding. Remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, or I think about a month ago, I taught you about a principle called ADKAR. And we said with ADKAR, managers have to have a sense of awareness. They have to say, I understand why I need to manage this way. I understand why my team needs to do this. The manager needs to have desire. He needs to have a desire to build the team. He needs to be able to say, I have decided that Peter is the best person suited for this because he has been trained, he understands the role, he understands the technical competency, and he's been able to do the task before. I have a desire and I have made the decision based on my confidence in myself to say, I will make the decision. Knowledge. I know how to make the decision. If you can't say that to yourself as a manager, you shouldn't be a manager. Ability. I am able to do this. I am able to train the people below me to do this. The people below me are able to do this. And as a manager, you should understand what reinforcement is. On a day-to-day, you should be understanding and say to yourself, I will continue to reinforce. Again, I understand why. I have decided to do based on my desire because I want to do this job. I want to do my best for this job. I have the knowledge and know-how how to do this job. I am able to do the job, and the people below me are able to do what I'm asking them to do, and I will continually reinforce what they're doing. Does everybody remember ADKAR? Yes or no? Did everybody here remember ADKAR? Thank you, Jules. You remember it. Good girl. Does everybody else remember ADKAR? Mr. Amala, do you remember ADKAR? Good. I don't know what happened to my other co-host. Where's Mr. Gorvin gone, Amala? He's gone? He's gone, au revoir? Okay, all right. Mr. Gorvin has gone to another session. All right, we've got Mr. Amala back, your favorite co-host, my favorite boss for these sessions. He's back. Mr. Amala, you want to wave your hand to all the guys? Everybody wave to Amala. Come on. Every time he's here, you have fun, right? With Gorvin, you have fun, but with Amala, you have more fun because he waves his hand to you. Good on you, Amala. And I will say to Mr. Gorvin that you miss him, all right? I'll let him know. All right, good on you guys. All right, so does everybody understand the different types of management styles? Okay, so management is not about feeding the donkey a carrot, because when the donkey is hungry, unless you give him a carrot or apple, he won't follow you, right? Management is not about doing that to your people. That's autocratic management. If you treat your people like donkeys and you trick them by giving them an apple, that's not leadership. That's old-fashioned management. You push, they run. Leadership is about motivating them and giving them what's a sense of trust, a sense of conformity, a sense of responsibility, a sense of feeling and belonging, a sense of ownership, a sense of accountability. You lead from the front, and that's why they follow you, right? That's why they follow you. Why does a donkey follow its owner? Only because it wants sugar, apple, or carrot. That's not because it's motivated. That's not because there's any sense of pride. They don't feel like they're important. All right? They're not. Because if today that donkey doesn't carry the goods and deliver them, its owner will sell it and get another donkey because the donkey's only a tool for him. Do you understand that, guys? But your people, the people you manage day to day, your human capital, your most valuable asset within any company, deserve more than that. They deserve leadership, and they deserve the correct form of leadership. And the correct form of leadership comes through the correct management style. Do you all know what I mean by human capital? Without your human capital, you don't have a business because the cash register will stop clicking. And if the cash register stops clicking, the zeros stop turning, you stop making money. You go bankrupt. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Does everybody understand that? Arlene, wave your hand, Arlene. Chan Yin, do you understand that, Chan Yin? Wave your hand, Chan Yin. Do you understand that, Su Hyang Mo? Good. Do you understand that, Mary Dorothy? Wave your hand, Mary Dorothy. Mary Dorothy, are you with us? Mary Dorothy, are you here? Mary Dorothy's put her picture on and disappeared again. I wonder if she's learned anything today. Mary Dorothy, are you here? Okay. All right. Let's go on. Angelica, did you understand what I've explained? Angelica, wave your hand. Angelica? Wave your hand, Angelica. Angelica Cardilla, wave your hand. Good girl, Angelica. All right. Do you understand, Loie Janelle? Good girl. Excellent. Rosalind Rama, do you understand, Rosalind? Good. Excellent. Sherelle Oliveras, do you understand? What about you, Mary? Mary Ann Eldia? Good girl. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so what we've learned today is how and what form of management style is important for you to be able to correctly manage the organization. For all of those of you who have shown me a black screen with no camera, remember, it is important that you switch on your camera if you are to receive a certificate. All right. So I do remind you that hiding behind your camera while it's switched off, you risk not receiving a certificate. And the whole idea of BizTalk is for you to learn, not to switch off your camera, go and hide in another room, and then just get a piece of paper that is meaningless. So please understand, if your camera is switched on for the whole session, you learn, you show respect to the host, to the presenter, and I'm able to involve you in the lesson, and that guarantees you a certificate. So please, I don't want to see any pictures, any posters from now on. I want to see live video feed. Please, it's very important because you don't learn anything switching off your camera and sitting in another room. If there's any reason to switch off your camera, you need to send me a message in the chat box and ask my permission moving forward, all right? Because you only reason you should switch off your camera is if you're at work and you need to tell me in the chat box moving forward from the next BizTalk, all right? Please make sure your cameras are switched on throughout all BizTalk sessions. Okay? Please, it's important because I want you to learn, okay? You know, right now, if I say to Rajendran, have you learned anything today, Rajendran? I think Rajendran is not even here. Hi, Christy, have you learned anything today? Can you wave your hand, Christy? Great. Jasur Beck, have you learned anything today? Could you wave your hand if you're listening? Are you there, Jasur Beck? Again, I think Jasur Beck is asleep. Jigmay, are you there, Jigmay? Have you learned anything? Great. Remember, guys, the idea of BizTalk is not to get a piece of paper, because if you haven't learned anything about what's on that paper, then the paper means nothing to you, all right? So please, it's important for you to switch on your camera and learn. It's very important, all right? If you're at work, I respect you and I congratulate you for working and attending the session, and I admire you for it. But in future, please send me a message in the chat box if you're at work. All right, everyone, let's go back to the beginning, and let me ask you, does anybody have any questions about today's BizTalk? Put up your hands. Anybody have any questions about today's BizTalk? Come on. I need to have some questions. No one's asked me questions today. All right, I want to get at least 20 questions. Come on. Okay, go ahead, Belinda. Go ahead, Belinda. Unmute your microphone. Yeah, go on,
Okay.
Belinda.
Thank you, sir. Please, I want to ask, is it necessary to implement about three leadership style?
Well, Belinda, if you ask me if it's necessary, if you managing people and you don't have a leadership style, you can't manage people. It's a fundamental element. If you can't manage people, whether 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people, you shouldn't be a manager. Do you understand that, Belinda?
Yes, sir.
All right. I hope
Can
you
you
understand it. And
can
Belinda,
you
listen.
implement about three? Let's say autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Can it work at the same time?
No. If you're going to be autocratic, there needs to be a reason for it. And that means you have to be autocratic across the board. You shouldn't be, if you're autocratic, you cannot be laissez-faire because you're 5 miles away from being laissez-faire. So you either have to be autocratic all the way or democratic all the way. If you're democratic, you may have a small team that respond through laissez-faire, but the majority of the team should be democratic, either collaborative or consultative or delegative. All right. But you cannot have autocratic and democratic at the same time. It means that you are incompetent. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
If you think of it, Belinda, how can you be autocratic and democratic at the same time? Would you like a manager to treat you autocratic one day and democratic the next day? Belinda? Yes or no?
But
Yes or no?
no.
So how can you ask that question? Do you think the people that work for you will want to work for you if you treat one group as autocratic and the other group as democratic? What that suggests is that you're an incompetent manager, that you don't know how to manage people, so you take the easy way out. If you are a true democratic leader, then you should get much better results than what you do as an autocratic leader. The only people that need an autocratic management style, if you're running a factory with 15,000 people like Foxconn in China, where there's no room for being a democratic leader because they're just slaves. They just stand there and make phones all day. Or if you're a colonel in the army. But if you're running a business, there's no reason why you can't be successful by being democratic. Do you understand that, Belinda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Belinda. I'll see you next week or the week after. Thanks, Belinda. Take care, gorgeous. Okay, who else wants to ask me a question? Okay, Rosalind, are you there, Rosalind? Go ahead, Rosalind. Yeah, what's your question?
My question is, we all know about the war between the Palestine and Israel. So, for your own opinion, what kind of leadership management did government choose to apply this kind of war or to solve the war?
Rosalind, you asked me a very unfair question because you're going to make me the military leader of the world, and
No,
I'm
just
not.
in your
Yeah,
own
I know.
opinion, sir.
But let me just say, I have no experience at fighting a war. I have never been to war, and for the love of God, I hope I never have to. It's a very difficult position. Fighting a war, they have to be autocratic because that's how armies fight. They need autocratic leadership. They're given commands, they follow because they swear an oath and allegiance to their country. That's the way armies run, and there'll never be any change to that. I really can't comment, Rosalind, because anything I might say might be misconstrued. Can a war be fought by a democratic army? No, it can't. Because if everybody in an army made their own decisions, people would die. So an army is usually dictated by an autocratic command chain, and no one has a choice. It's straightforward autocratic rule of law. And that's what armies are built on. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, let's go to Samuel. Are you there, Samuel? Open your microphone, Samuel. Are you there, Samuel? Yeah, go ahead, Samuel.
Just one question.
I can't hear you, Samuel. You need to speak up.
Yes, hello. My question.
I can't hear you, Samuel.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Samuel.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Samuel, I can't hear you. Can you type your message in the chat box for me? Type your message in the chat box. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Type your message in the chat box, please. Okay, let me go on. Dear students, please. Okay, that's fine. I'll wait for Samuel to answer. Go ahead, Samuel. Are you there, Samuel? Type your message in the chat box and I'll answer it for you, okay? All right, let me go on. Let me talk to the next person. Muhammad Yusuf. Go ahead, Muhammad. Are you there, Muhammad? Can you unmute your microphone, Muhammad Yusuf? Muhammad Yusuf, can you unmute your microphone? Okay, I'm sorry, Muhammad Yusuf is not there. Okay, let's go on. All right, let's go to the next person. Are you there, Muhammad Yusuf? I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you. Type it in the chat box.
Hello,
Sorry.
sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Just hold on for a minute, will you? Yeah, go ahead, Muhammad Yusuf.
Yes.
I can't hear you, Muhammad Yusuf. Could you speak up?
This problem.
Yeah, you need to type your message in the chat box, sir. I can't hear you. Please type your message in the chat box. Type your message in the chat box and I'll answer it for you.
Next.
I can't hear you, Muhammad. I can't hear you. Mr. Muhammad Yusuf, I can't hear you. You're breaking up. Can you type your message in the chat box?
Yes. Sir. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Type it in the chat box, Muhammad Yusuf, and I'll answer you straight away. Okay, go ahead, Richard. Are you there, Richard?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah. So for about normally, my manager was autocratic management.
Yes.
So the thing is, he's an autocratic management, but what I do is for my team who's working with the operation, I normally adjust as democratic and consultative. So
right.
just to make the operation, sir, just to make the operation, I was working in the installation team, sir. So because the manager will just tell, just install this as like this, but he never see the site or whatever the measurement is applicable. So normally I doing the adjustment using the consultative management. So is that a good way, sir?
Let me just ask you a question. The person that you report to is autocratic, or the person at the top of the company is autocratic?
The person who I'm reporting, sir.
Right. Is he autocratic to you all the time?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me ask you, if he's autocratic to you, from you to the team that you work with, you're consultative. Is that what you're telling me? That's fine.
Yes, but I'm consultative, sir.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But it's okay for you to be consultative, and it's a good way to do it because you manage the team the right way to get results. But my only problem for you is when he gives you autocratic instructions, which do not take into account what your team is focused on. If you're not careful, that can confuse your team. So you have to be prepared with your team to change direction based on the autocratic directions that you get. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, but what I'm saying is you do a very good job if you can be consultative to the people that you have under you, but still take autocratic directions. That shows that you have very good management qualities. Yes, I commend you. But the only danger is, please remember, you have to have enough sense of innovation, enough sense of confidence in your team that should the autocratic dictatorship give you a new direction overnight, your team can revolve around that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand
And
that
a
one, sir.
manager who reports to an autocratic leader and goes on to manage the team below him democratically is one sign of very good management skills. But you need to keep working on them. All right. Congratulations, Richard.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
And
sir.
if you need any advice, Richard, just WhatsApp me. I'd be happy to help you. All right.
I will do. I will do. I will do, sir.
Thank you. Does
Thank you, sir.
anybody
Thank
else have any questions? I'm still waiting for your message, Samuel Benson, so I can answer you. I'm still waiting for your message, Muhammad Yusuf, or you're happy to send me a WhatsApp later and I'll answer you directly. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Mr. Amala, will share my mobile number, my WhatsApp number, +65 with everybody in the chat box. Mr. Amala, could you do that, please? Share my number with everyone, Mr. Amala, in the chat box. You're welcome to send me a message through WhatsApp. Tell me your name. For example, Samuel Benson. I was in BizTalk today, and ask me any question you have. I'll be happy to answer it within as soon as I can, today or tomorrow. Does everybody understand that? Do you understand that, Samuel? All right. From me to all of you, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for being here. From my co-host, Mr. Amala, thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you, Mr. Govind, also my co-host for the first half of tonight's session. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for BizTalk 81. I hope that I've inspired you and given you the motivation to become better leaders, whether it's leaders at home for your family, leaders for the girls trying to manage a new boyfriend that will one day become their husband, or trying to control a boyfriend who will one day become a husband, or educate the boyfriend and mold him to become a husband, or for any of you guys who are trying to manage or mold a girlfriend to become your wives. So to all of you, I hope that what I've shared with you today is an inspiration. Okay, is anybody here in the process of arranging to get married soon? Anybody? Put up your hand. Who's getting married soon? Put up your hand. Don't be shy. I'm already married, 38 years worth. I'm already there. Samuel, if you need any guidance, let me know, mate. Any leadership style, just message me. Govind Kumar, talk to me, Govind. Are you getting married soon, Govind? Hello, Govind Kumar. Hi, Govind. No, Govind's not there. Okay, anybody else want to put up their hand? Who's putting up their hand? Come on, put up your hand. Any of the girls getting married soon? No one? All right, good luck to you guys. All right, girls. So I hope that you can use your leadership skills, your management style in whatever you do. All right, whether it's getting a boyfriend, getting a husband, managing your parents to give you more pocket money, managing your family, or managing your team at work. Management style plays an important role, not only at work, but in your everyday lives. Yes, Alice. Alice Nora, smile, Alice. You look wonderful today, Alice. God bless you, Alice. All right. Alice, are you about to find a new boyfriend or a husband, Alice? Unmute your microphone. Say hello to me. Unmute your microphone. Hi, Alice. How are you today?
Hello, I'm fine.
Have you learned anything from today's session, Alice?
Yes, I've learned.
All right, great. I look forward to see you at the next BizTalk the week after next. Thank you for joining me. Very good afternoon to you, ma'am. Thank you. All right, great. Vanessa, have you learned anything from today's session? Vanessa Altona? Ravel LaSalle, you will never get into trouble. All right. You're a good student, Ravel. You'll never get into trouble. Work hard, Ravel, and whatever you do in your life, Ravel, always look at life with an open perspective. Yeah, go ahead. Roland Clavel, go ahead. Are you there, Roland? Do you hear what I just said, Roland?
Yes, sir.
You'll never get
Yes,
into
sir.
trouble. If you
Yes, sir.
fear, listen to me, Riv, I'm going to give you a lesson in life. If you always live in the fear of getting into trouble, you'll never progress in life. Being successful in life is about taking risk, but you take calculated risks. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Roland?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Actually, it's not a question, just a share of idea and a suggestion.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I prepare to be a democratic leader because I want my people to share their vision freely. I would prefer also to be a charismatic leader under democratic process. For my interpretation, you have to show the concern, love, and welfare for your employees so that they will cooperate with you independently without any hesitation.
If you're charismatic alone, sometimes it's not enough. It's better to be charismatic, but then go to consultative. So what you do first is you develop a charismatic style so they get to know you and love you. And then slowly you transition into consultative.
I see.
Okay. All right.
I see.
So the ideal position in management for any manager in a small to medium enterprise is consultative management. All right. Because basically you're taking into account all the different styles of democratic management, including charismatic, including collaborative. So you're basically in the middle level, which is the ideal level of management skill. Does that make sense to you, Roland?
Noted, sir. Noted.
But be
Thanks
careful,
so
Roland.
much for
I have
the
to give you a warning to this because you worry me about what you said before. Be careful that when you do this, you do it slowly. You have to make sure that the people in your team are ready for that transition. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Noted,
Roland.
sir.
I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, Roland. Good afternoon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is there anybody else that has any questions? Anybody else? All right, from myself and my co-hosts and my boss for this Biz Talk today, Mr. Amala, thank you so much for being with us today. From both of us, we thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the next Biz Talk, which is not next weekend, but the following week, the first week of the coming month of November. From me to all of you, I wish you a very pleasant evening. May you enjoy your dinner if it's dinner time. Eat steak or eat chicken. Make sure you have a protein. Protein is good for you unless you're a vegetarian. I believe my vegetarian co-host is not here anymore. Mr. Golvin has gone to have his vegetarian lentil dinner. But if you're not a vegetarian, enjoy your chicken, enjoy your fish, or enjoy your juicy steak. All right. Remember, life is all about achievement. Life is an ongoing journey of learning. Never let your passion for learning die. The minute you give up your passion to learn is the day that you give up your fight for success. Don't ever rest your morals and say, I want to be poor. Every day, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how can I be more successful? That is what life is about. God bless you all. And remember, never say anything is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Never say never. There's always a way at the end of the tunnel. Good night, everyone. God bless you all. Good night, Mr. Amala. Good night, everyone. God bless you all. Good night, everyone. I love you all. Good night. God bless you. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, Rowena. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Hugh Win. Thank you, Sunda. Oh my God, like Michelle. Beautiful smile, Michelle. Good night, Michelle. Good night, Jin Yong. Good night, Megala. Good night, Ravel. Good night, Muhammad Yusuf. Good night, Richard Pecco. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you, Ravel. Thank you, Tinila. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Win Fuang. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Maria. Thank you all for your kind comments. That's what inspires me. That's what makes me come back. day after day as an academic. Thank you.